Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at Solana, see what's going on. Big surprise, Bitcoin is on the pullback and taking most altcoins with it. Solana is actually doing fairly well. It's almost exactly a 1-to-1 ratio with Bitcoin right now. So the truth is it's not terrible. I'm considering actually a long if and when we bottom out from Bitcoin, but problem is we got a little ways to go before that happens. So I think taking a long right now at this point may not be a great idea. To give you perspective, our Cornix trading bot here, what is it? Trades closed. If you can kind of see, we're short heavy on all of our recent trades here. So securing some nice profits there, of course. But for the most part, with our current open trades, if I'm not mistaken, we have a Solana short open. And the timeline is right here. There we go. I think we're taking profit around 196.20. So I do personally feel like that should still occur. We're going to double check a few things here to make sure, but that's kind of where we're at there for that. Let's look at the back-end liquidation data here too and kind of see what's up. Quick congrats to our community members too for our swing traders, of course. Took some nice profits from SUI and the Litecoin long from yesterday. But again, got in and out of those trades, folks. We're not holding those open after securing profits. It's important to make sure you secure profits on a trade to be profitable. That's just kind of a funny redundancy, but you'd be surprised how many people don't understand how that works. So back-end liquidation data for Solana on the left-hand side here. We got last 7 days. It's pretty heavy to the upside, but we're starting to see more longs potentially getting swept here. So keep in mind 185 to 190 still potentially on the table if we see 94K for Bitcoin. Future reference, Bitcoin's chart looks pretty ugly. You probably already know that because you watched my analysis already, but if you look at 94,000, that's a pretty heavy concentration between 92.5 and 94.5. We're getting closer to that. So just know that's potential reality for us here to get that level swept. And the reason why it's relevant to Solana is because obviously it's moving concurrent with Bitcoin, even though it's stronger than most altcoins today or was yesterday. It isn't, magical and killing it right now. It's moving just the same as Bitcoin is. So again, 185 to 190 potentially on the table there, but just know there's a massive concentration. Each one of these bars is like worth $250 million. So there's probably, I would say ballpark, maybe 3 to 4, maybe $5 billion between 210 and 215. So just know that's it. Or sorry, 206 to 212, probably a little more precise for that range. Cool. So that's that. From a macro perspective, roughly the same thing here. We can kind of see each one of these bars is 1 billion. So that does reinforce we're about 3 to 4 billion in liquidation, upwards of 212. We look at liquidation delta. It's since shifted from bullish to bearish. So most people are shorting this coin, or at least more shorts than longs in the market right now. Keep in mind that doesn't necessarily mean you just jump on track with shorts, because we could be at the bottom. Shorting the bottom is never a good idea. But on the same accord, are we at the bottom or not? Let's find out here. Truth is, though, we look at 193. That's our last leg of support outside of the current range of 198. So we lose 198. 193 is the second target there, mainly because that's where we're going to see the most support because of open interest. Folks have a heavy position, or there's a heavy position, probably a market maker, that jumped in at 193. Okay, so just know that that's there. Cool. All right, so that's the back end stuff. What's the front end look like? What do the charts look like here? Well, it's still kind of messy, but much better. I mean, look at this compared to Bitcoin. Look at how many trashy candles we got here. We've literally got 1, 2, 3, 4 doji candles, followed by a bullish engulfing and then a bearish engulfing candle. What is that? To me, that's the equivalent to trash. Anyways, not trash on the market, but it is what it is. Just calling the kettle black, right? So Solana. Good news is you compare that with Bitcoin, that we don't have as many crazy doji candles. We don't have such indecision at this specific level. So Solana is performing better than Bitcoin in the last 5 trading days, so keep that in mind. Doesn't mean it can't still come down, just implies it's performing better than Bitcoin in general lately, but it's also not outperforming Bitcoin either. It's just kind of slowly crawling up. Most other altcoins like SUI, for example, it's ripping pretty hard, which is why we took a long, right? But it broke its descending trend line, and honestly, Solana hasn't truly done that if you exclude the more recent one. Okay, so all that said, nothing's bullish here, folks. There's nothing on the macro time frame is going to tell us that we're in good shape. Okay, we're still below some important factors here until we close over, just say 210 to 220. We have no reason to consider a long. Okay, even though the liquidation level could and should likely get swept here soon. This moving average is somewhat of an ominous sign. Same thing here with the 50-day SMA right there at 210. So again, I need a closure of 210 or higher and Bitcoin to be over 100,000 to feel confident with taking a long. once more, I did talk to my community just briefly earlier today that I'm interested in taking a long on Solana if Bitcoin bottoms out. Just say Bitcoin hits 94K. Depending on the price action for Solana, I may consider a long there. That could even end up being a double bottom. It's a lot of times you'll see that happen, but the truth is it's too early to tell. So don't ever take a long like that in the blind, especially with leverage. Spot bags, different story altogether. Maybe 2x leverage, perhaps, but anything larger than that, not worth it. Anyways, we're right here underneath the 50-day and the 20-day SMA. They're hanging out right there with this descending trend. So again, this descending trend is important, kind of giving us a barometer of what side of tracks we're on. We're literally like smack dab right in the middle of this garbage range, which is that 198 to 203 range, and we have a lot of control here based on volume locally in the 200 to 205 range. Okay. So that's why, as I mentioned previously, a solid closure over 203 makes more sense. And what a solid closure looks like to me is maybe 1 or 2 daily candles above that level, not just 1 4-hour candle when we go to the moon, right? That's not how it works. That's not confirmation. Confirmation, again, it's not like an exact range or number. Confirmation is mostly just what you feel comfortable with. And me personally, in my years of trading, I can tell you that 1 or 2 candles above that level, it isn't enough for me. If you watched my Ichimoku cloud video, you'll know too that you want to have at least 3 or 4 hours above the cloud to get that confirmation, that confirming factor. We're under 50 on the RSI in the 4-hour time frame. That's not a good sign. MACD is diverging. I think further downside makes perfect sense. Again, pending Bitcoin continues to bleed out. But if Bitcoin goes sideways, I think Solana will start to stabilize and continue back upwards. Right? It could be at a beginning of a nice little pattern here. In fact, this is somewhat reminiscent of some patterns we've seen before where the price action works itself into a channel. This is a bullish type of channel here where the price action continues to retest higher highs and higher lows because it derives from the downside. Okay, that's a bullish rectangle pattern and something to kind of pay attention to. Now, do you take a long position on a bullish rectangle pattern if everything else is bearish? No, of course not. That's not what you do. That's not what I teach. And that's not recommended. Some people will do it. They'll have some success. They'll think that works every time, and they're going to get hammered or destroyed. So if you're new to crypto, please, please, please try not to attach yourselves to patterns. They're more of like a placebo effect for people in a lot of ways, right? Patterns are beneficial if the trend itself is consistent with that pattern, okay? You cannot have a bullish pattern in a bearish scenario. At least you shouldn't. That's just the odds are lower and you're not going to find as much success. Taking a look here, we're below the cloud. We have been for about 4 hours. That's confirming that a short position makes a lot more sense than a long. Lagging span is free and clear. Conversion lines below the baseline. So all this being said, I think this short here position seems to be in pretty good shape here. I think there's a strong likelihood we're going to hit our profit target and it's going to go lower than that, right? So just again, some friendly advice. While my trading bot really is just more of a short-term fix, it's been fairly consistent. Even though we had a red day yesterday, we've recovered all that today here so far, and things looking quite favorable overall in just the 1 week's worth of this new strategy. So cool stuff. All in all, decent decent scenario. But I trust that we're going to go down a little bit lower, and I think it's a little bit of a bad idea to get in just yet. I think if you're going to consider getting in, average in. But there's nothing really here that I see that's like super awesome that we're just going to see an instant reversal. Okay. All right, folks. Hope that makes sense. I'll post our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It looks something like this here, so you can kind of see what's going on. All right, folks. Hope you have a good rest of the day. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.